The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is the Players Lounge, broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your hosts, Barry Church, Danny McCray, and Newy Scruggs.
Here we are, Friday, March 12th, with a whole ton of topics to get to right here on the Players Lounge, brought to you by Hotels.com. I'm Newy Scruggs, longtime Cowboys reporter, joined by former Dallas Cowboys safety, our guy, Barry Church. Our other safety, Danny McCray's got work duties to do over at the Dallas Cowboys. He works for the team. So it's Church and I riding with you here on a Friday. All right, 42, how you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing, Newy. It's a little cloudy here in the Metroplex, but like I said, man, we're on Players Lounge on a Friday, 11:30. Where else would you rather be? Where else would you rather be? Let's get to it, big dog.
All right, man. I've been waiting and chomping at the bit since going to that Dak Prescott press conference, which was well over an hour at the Star. I'm so glad I went because you needed to be there to see the reactions to the questions and just the way things were bouncing and going. So to see Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, and Dak Prescott there all giving their takes on this deal. So initially, I wanted to get your thoughts on the contract and the press conference.
Well, originally the contract, I'm here to say I was dead wrong. Along with a lot of America out there, I was dead wrong. I thought for certain that he would not get this deal done by the deadline. I thought he would be franchise tagged. And I was even going out there saying that he wouldn't get a deal done by July 15th. But the Cowboys, they were able to work their magic. You know, Jerry has always said, and I'll never doubt Jerry again when it comes to this, because we heard it for 2 years. I never let anybody I want walk out of me or walk off of this team. I keep who I want. And yeah, we heard the talk and we just all thought it was talk. But Jerry got the deal done with Dak. So to me, I got to give hats off to Jerry and his representatives and Dak and his representatives as well. Because even though they got this deal done, I thought for sure that they would have no cap space and it was going to be Dak versus the world out there, seeing how bad this defense was. But hats goes off to Jerry and Todd France because they were able to work something out to where Dak was able to get the money he wanted, the guaranteed money, the 40 mil per year. He was able to get that. But also Jerry on the other side in year one let that cap friendly, that team deal kind of work its magic. They ended up creating more cap space by paying this man this money. And I thought it was blasphemous. I didn't think there's no way that they're going to be able to get this man this money and still have cap space. But they were able to work it around. And I believe they freed up maybe even 15 to 17 mil right now. And to me, that's a win-win on both cases. You have your franchise quarterback who's going to be there for the foreseeable future, the leader, the unquestioned leader of this team, there for the foreseeable future. And you have enough cap space to address a little bit of the needs on this defense because we know there's a lot of needs on this defense. So for me, I got to give my hats off to both sides. They played it remarkably, and hopefully, it pays off for the Dallas Cowboys as in Super Bowls or something like that because we need it here in the Metroplex. But hats goes off to both sides getting this deal done and creating enough cap space to address that horrendous defense that they had last year. Let's hope it all works out.
So I like when you spoke about just the parameters of the deal, and one of the questions and one of the things Stephen Jones had brought up was every time there was something that Stephen was looking for that could help the team, he said Todd France said yes. Because I believe I was number 7 at the press conference. They had us all lined up, and I was number 7 to ask the question. So I asked a question to Dak, and the second question I asked was about the pie. Like, okay, you guys talked to all camp about, there'll be no pie for anybody else here. So is there pie left to fix this bad defense you had? And that's when Stephen referenced that Todd France was working with him, and they understood the importance that, okay, yeah, we want our quarterback, we want our guy to get his cash, but there has to be something left for some other people. So that was something I thought that was unique there. Jerry said, I overpaid. Everybody out there says Jerry overpaid because he's now, Dak Prescott's the second highest paid quarterback in the game. Okay, second highest paid player. It's Patrick Mahomes. Then it is Dak Prescott, followed by Deshaun Watson. But we all knew how these deals go. The next guy tops the next guy, and when this TV deal is officially done, somebody's going to top Dak Prescott. I mean, this is how these things go. 4 years, $160 million, $66 million up front, $126 million in guarantees overall. So this is where it's gone. Dak Prescott and Todd France, they played this perfectly. They did not sign a deal. As Jerry spoke at the press conference, I think Jerry let it out a little bit that he thought that they could wear Dak out, that Dak would just be like, nah, I got to take this deal. After taking so little for so long, that he would jump at the chance, and he didn't do it. He didn't do it.
He didn't. He did not. Hats goes off to Dak.
Yeah, they played it right. I mean, he stayed still in all of this. And a buddy of mine wrote a book called Stillness is the Key, Ryan Holiday. And it's just that ability that while things around you are a little bit chaotic, how still and calm can you be? Which is a great trait for a quarterback, which is what he did. Is while things were going around, but you should sign it, you should do that, you're not worth $30 million. The guy just stayed where he was, ended up getting hurt and just still stayed still, kept working out of the facility. And it worked out well for him that he won the deal, okay? Jerry can talk all day long about how this is good, but Dak won this deal.
He did. He won it by a landslide, in my opinion, but it's got to be a hard. And that's why I say it's hats off to Dak, because it's got to be hard. I mean, you're getting bombarded by the media. You got guys like myself over here talking about, if he takes a deal, we're never going to have a defense, and he can't carry this team without a defense, so why would we pay him that much? And then you got fans coming from all over the Metroplex. Oh, he's greedy. Why don't you take that? There's guys that are, getting paid way less to do more important jobs. So you're getting all this barking in your ears from every different direction, guys pulling on you. And like you said, man, he remained still. He remained confident in that him and Todd France were going to be able to work out a deal in his favor as well as the team. And hats goes off, because I know myself, man. I know if people were chirping and pulling at me from all, I don't know. And then you got $35 million dangling in front of your face per year. That's a hard thing to stay still on. And hat goes off to those guys because they were able to do it. And it ended up working out in the benefit both the Cowboys and Dak Prescott.
So that was the question I asked to Dak. That was the first because we got two questions to ask at the press conference, and that was the question I asked Dak. For 2 years, you had to deal with people questioning you about the contract, people questioning what you were worth, and people saying what you weren't worth, that you weren't worth $30 million. How did you deal with it? The other people around you, and Dak, he went back to one of his cliches, which is, hey, I just control what I can control. But Church, you've been a player, and you've been in this situation too, where your contract was up and people were asking you about your future here. I don't care how much you want to ignore it. You can't ignore it. This is your life.
You can't ignore it at all. And he's been in the limelight since his rookie year. So he's had people since his rookie year telling him how great he is. And then when the time comes to get paid what he wants, people turn quick and say, oh, no, you're not worth $30 million. You're going to wreck our team and wreck our cap. And man, he remained still. And I'm just like, that to me just shows that the type of just poise and confidence that man has in himself, to where everybody in the Metroplex, not even the Metroplex, I'm talking about the whole sports world, ESPN. I mean, all those talk shows in the beginning all those talk shows in the morning, that's all they do is talk Dallas Cowboys football. We know that. And at the head of the Cowboys football is Dak Prescott. And you got nationwide news people coming at you. You got local media coming at you, fans coming at you. And man, that boy stood his ground. And it's a tough thing to do, because as a player, you want to please your fans. You don't never want to be the hated guy out there. This isn't wrestling where the villains are, there's villains and there's heroes. You don't want to be hated by your fan base out there. And he was able to, keep that fan base happy, as well as get his money and get the Cowboys organization as one. And, hey, now, like I said before, hats goes off. There was a remarkable negotiation and contract.
You are checking out the Players Lounge. We are in our NRSWBC Mortgage Virtual Home Studios. I'm Newy Scruggs, joined by Barry Church, Danny McCray, with the day off here, recapping this Dak Prescott historic contract, largest contract in Cowboys history. So he gets it done, and here's the aftermath of it. People starting to say, well, and one of those people is Hall of Fame coach Jimmy Johnson, who won 2 Super Bowls as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and left enough talent for a third. And Jimmy told Colin Cowherd of Fox Sports that he does not think Dak Prescott can carry a football team. I've heard this several times from different people. The Dak, good quarterback, not the guy that can carry a team. Barry, you've played in this league. You've seen guys who can carry teams. How do you feel about Dak?
Man, this one's tough right here. This one's tough because, like you said, I've played on teams, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had Blake Bortles, and arguably he was maybe 31st out of 32nd quarterbacks when we were together there, and we were able to get to the AFC Championship despite him, just because we had an amazing defense. Now, we don't have that type of defense here with the Dallas Cowboys. We don't have any type of resemblance of that defense. But what we do have is an explosive offense, and we have a great, I would say we have a good quarterback with the possibility of being great as he develops, but we have that on offense. So to me, we now have the cap space. We have a little bit of room to go ahead, and maybe we might not get a marquee free agent in the defensive side of the ball. We might not get an Ndamukong Suh or Anthony Harris as far as the safeties are concerned, because those guys might demand a little bit more coin than we're willing to give up. But with the money that we do have in that cap space, I feel like we can address this defense. I feel like we can put a veteran free safety back there. We'll maybe make, $3 to $4 million, nothing to break the bank, but there's a lot of options out there at safety, veteran safety with a great skill set who can play that middle of the field defender, who could be that Earl Thomas type safety for this defense. I mean, there's Tayshaun Gibson out there, who last year I think he played for the Bears for 2.5 or maybe 3 million. There's Trey Boston out there who won't even demand that much in the free agent market. So I think there's options out there, and then you still can address that defensive line. Like I said, you might not get into Ndamukong Suh, but you can get that Carl Lawson from Cincinnati. You can get some of these lower tier defensive tackles that are better than what you have right now, and you can pair them with Neville Gallimore out there and see what can happen. But we have the cap space to address this defense, something that I thought we didn't have, or we wouldn't have once we paid Dak. And I thought for sure there's no way Dak can carry this team with the defense that's constructed right now. But if we can address this defense with that little bit of cap room that we have, I think he has the capabilities of taking his team far. And to me, Dak, he's a good quarterback. He might be great over time, but if we can address this defense a little bit, I think we have the solution to maybe reaching those heights that we want to see.
All right, Church. So in your opinion, when Jimmy says a quarterback who can carry a team, he doesn't believe Dak is that guy. Give me 3 quarterbacks, in your opinion, in the NFL who do carry their teams.
Who do carry their team. I would have to say
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes. I'd have to put Patrick Mahomes on there. I would put, I'm hesitant, but I think he can have the capabilities of carrying the team, and that's Russell Wilson. He hasn't done much since the Legion of Boom left, but he's kind of always kept that team in playoff contention. So I say if he has a little bit more help here and there, he's one of those guys that can carry a team. And he's young right now, so I got to put him in there because he's young right now, and he had an amazing season last year. Even though the record didn't show, he still played well, and I think if you add maybe 1 or 2 pieces, he can carry a team with a terrible defense, and that's Deshaun Watson. Outside of those 3 quarterbacks, Brady's up there in age, and what he had around him in Tampa Bay, most quarterbacks would be able to win with, so I can't put Brady in there. Oh, there's one more. I got to put Aaron Rodgers in there. I got to put Rodgers in there. His remarkable arm talent. I mean, he's seen pretty much every defense out there, so I got to put Rodgers in there. But outside of those 4 quarterbacks, I'm not sure there's anyone left in the NFL that can carry a team by themselves. But outside of those 4 quarterbacks.
And see, to me, I'm going to stop it at just Mahomes, Rodgers, and Brady. I mean, put those 3 right over here. And I'm looking at these guys. These are Super Bowl winners. These are our MVPs. Put them over there. And everyone else. I mean, look, I love Deshaun Watson. And one of the fun things about playing fantasy football and you have a quarterback is you follow him every week. You watch all them snaps. And I had Watson last year. Watson's a fantastic player. But even you saw, what was their record?
Yeah.
What happened?
Right. Yeah, it was like 4-12, I think. Yeah.
He kind of
reminds me of Watson kind of reminds me of the Russell Westbrook, who, he could put up all these phenomenal, he could average a triple-double. Hold on, I'm sorry. You guys still got me? Hello?
Yeah, I got you, Barry.
Hello? Oh, okay.
I got you, Barry.
I was off.
I got you.
I thought I was off. But Deshaun, he kind of reminds me of the Russell Westbrook of the NFL. Like, he can average a triple-double, put up all these stats, win MVPs, but at the end of the day, is he going to bring you that hardware? Is he going to make this team a competitive team in the playoffs? I'm not quite sure. I lean to put him in there just because he's still so young. But overall, you got to put a little bit of talent around him to see the fruits of his production. But yeah, I would agree with you on that one.
And so my thing with Russell, when you put in Russell Wilson in that category and Deshaun Watson, and to me, most quarterbacks are like that. They're only about the three guys I named who can sit up here, put a team on their shoulders and go. Lamar Jackson's won an MVP in this league, and I have a lot of respect for his ability. Josh Allen is showing us he's a really good football player, but they're still needing some help here. So we got three guys in this league right now that you can say, put that dude out there, that guy will go win you the game. And to me, everybody else is going to have some warts and some flaws. And that's where Dak Prescott fits in. And so when Jimmy talks about, him making this kind of money and paying him and it's going to limit your cap, every year we keep seeing that happen. Andrew Luck got paid, and unfortunately injuries hurt him. But you know what? Even he was not that guy who, he did well with the Colts, but once he needed help. So this is the nature of the game. Dak got his money. In 4 years, somebody's going to go blow past the money. So Dak knows now that the bullseye's on him. And I want to bring up another point a former Dallas Cowboy had to say, and that's Daryl Moose Johnston. Actually, no, I'll bring that up later on. Bring it up later on here. I want to touch in here on another Dak reaction, and that's Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones said he overpaid, and he was glad to overpay.
But how would you feel, Louie, though?
Well, actually,
how would you feel?
It was the way. This is why you had to be there, and being there and hearing it are two different things. Because when at first he said, anything that I ever bought of value, I overpaid for. He said, I overpaid for the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody told me how dumb I was, and it was a bad deal. Even Donald Trump, back in the 90s, said, hey, I could have bought the Cowboys, but it was so much money, it was a bad investment. And then he said, I overpaid for Dak. And then so it was I overpaid, but you know what? You overpay for good things. And if you underpay for something, what are you going to get? You're going to get something that's not that valuable. So he put Dak in that category. So when you say, how did you feel? The way he said it, it made Dak feel like, okay, yeah, you know what? You got the best of me. And he even said, if I had to pay a single human being, I don't mind paying the guy to my right. So he was very complimentary in what he did. But he did overpay.
Very complimentary.
He overpaid because you and I know they could have got it for 32.
2 years ago they probably could have got him for 30. You know?
So they messed it up. Yeah. So there's no doubt he overpaid because, hey, you did it. But this has been, and we've talked about it right here on the Players Lounge. This has been the Jerry Jones MO. He overpaid on Tank Lawrence. Could have got Tank at a cheaper price. Overpaid on Amari Cooper. Should have got the Cooper deal done when they made the trade for him. Didn't do it. Overpaid on Ezekiel Elliott. Made him the top highest paid running back in the game. He overpaid there. This is what he's done consistently. And you knew you were going to have to overpay for the quarterback. But that's a great thing about what you brought up is like that's what you took from it when he said he was overpaid. But being there and hearing him say it and how he was trying to convey it, it's like, yeah, man, I overpaid. But you know what? Everything I overpaid for was worth it. This guy's worth it.
So I gotta ask you this: how was the energy when you were in there? Like, was it like everybody was kind of sitting on pins and needles, or was there like a lot of tension? Like, how was the energy? Because on the TV, it seemed like everybody was just like all giddy and just, I can't believe this is what it is. So I just want to know, like, being there in person, was there a lot of tension, or was it just like everybody was just happy that it finally got done and we can move forward with this?
Yeah. So this was the first team press conference the NFL's had for a team. The last time the NFL had just a press conference all year long with the media and the people there in the same in the same room, that was at the Super Bowl. So no other NFL team has done what the Cowboys did in bringing out Dak Prescott. Let's do it in person. Everything's been virtual since last March. So this was the first time. Jerry was happy to be in the building, seeing people. He really loved it. He missed being in the arena of dealing with the media in the back and forth. As far as the energy in terms of Dak and these people, of course, they're happy. 4 years, $160 million. And Barry, you've been involved in contracts and you with the Cowboys and then being in the locker room with the Jaguars. You know when guys are happy for a certain player because they know, hey man, that guy deserves his money.
Without a doubt.
And that was the feel.
Yeah,
that was
without
the
a
feeling.
doubt.
Like,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say about the two locker rooms and being happy because, like you said, when you see guys get deals done, like, when Tyron Crawford got his deal done, everybody in the locker room was happy for him. When Brandon Carr came in after getting paid from, everybody was happy for him. Orlando, same thing. But when I went down to Jacksonville and then after we made that run in the AFC Championship and they turned around and paid Blake Bortles what they paid him, I mean, you could cut the tension with a knife in the locker room. I mean, people were sitting there just grimacing. Like, you would think that, man, hey, quarterback got paid, man, everybody's giving high fives. Man, he walked through that locker room and people was just giving him like, yeah, looks like we're here for another 4 years, man. So I'm glad the tension wasn't as thick or wasn't as bad when Dak signed his deal as it was when Blake Bortles did his in Jacksonville, because I'll tell you, that locker room was stone cold silent.
And once again, here's another difference. The respect about a guy in the room and the overall premise of you guys were like, dude, you getting a check. We should be getting a check because you got paid off what we did. We're not getting any of this. You got it. You were basically jack riding off us. Nobody felt that way. Nobody felt that way about Dak. And I think those leadership traits, those are the things, in my mind, being a reporter, that fans and maybe even some people who do this for a living in the media don't understand. Of guys in the room know who's the dude. They know who's that guy. They know who a team should be paying. That's Dak. And it's not reflective in numbers. It's a leadership thing. And sometimes you got to be there or have been around real leaders to understand it. He's that guy. And that's why I believe you pay for that. I think that's a quality you pay for. You just mentioned Blake Bortles. He didn't have that. He did not have the juice. He didn't have the leadership ability. And he couldn't lead guys and make guys get up. Say the guy got a check, they're like, oh, man, how much of that should I have got? Here we go. Right. Dak gets his money, and dudes are like, good for you.
And it's crazy because he's been like that since his rookie year. I remember him walking in to the training room or walking into the locker room we were up in Oxnard, California, and it was his first start in a preseason game because I believe Tony Romo was sitting it out, and it was against the Rams, 2016. Yep. And he went in there, and you could just feel it. I don't know. I can't really explain. I can't put words to it, but you could just feel it. Like he just came out the locker room with just this poise and just this, I don't call it a aura, but it kind of was. He just came out on the field, and you knew the guys around him knew they just already had this belief in him. And once we saw him perform like that in that game out in California, we were like, we might have something. We might have a solid backup. Little did we know, Romo was going to go down and he was going to take over. But from game one, when Dak was under center, he just had this calmness, this poisonous about him that everybody believed in him. I'm talking about even the veterans, even Jason Wittens and the Des Bryants and the Doug Freeze of the world, who were best friends with Tony Romo. And that was their guy. That was their ride or die guy. They looked at Dak and said, look, this is the answer. This is how we're going to get to where we need to go. And when you have a belief in a guy like that, it don't matter how much you're down. You could be down 20 points. You could be down 14 points with 2 minutes left in the game. The team is still going to fight hard, and they're still going to believe that he can go out there and he can get a win for us no matter how bad we're down. And that's the stuff that you want to pay for as a team and as an organization. When you got a guy that everybody believes in, and no matter what the circumstances are, we're going to fight our butts off for this guy because he can bring us home a victory. That's what you can pay for, and that's what I believe Jerry Jones paid for when it came to Dak Prescott. Because he might have overpaid him, but you can't put a price on the intangibles of guys believing in you in the locker room, and that's what Dak provides for this team.
All right, the Cowboys, and we got a whole bunch of other things to dive into, but I just want to make sure we got the Dak reaction there. They've restructured contracts. Who are some free agents the Cowboys need to let go? Who are some of the guys that they need to keep on this football team? Also, let's get into Dan Quinn. There was a whole lot of conversation about Dan Quinn at the Dak press conference because it was the first time the media had an opportunity to ask Jerry and Steven about it, and Dak also weighed in on the new defensive coordinator. We'll do that for Players Lounge, brought to you by Hotels.com, coming up right here on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Adjust your cleats, adjust your pads, even adjust your helmet, but seriously, don't adjust your underwear because once it's seen, it cannot be unseen. Tommy John's fabric keeps you cool and dry on the field or in the stands, and now they even have loungewear. Yeah, loungewear. Shop underwear at TommyJohn.com/Cowboys for 15% off your first order. That's TommyJohn.com/Cowboys.
Hey there, Cowboys fans. With Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery, cleaning your clothes has never been more convenient. Simply sign up at your local store, set out your dirty clothes, and one of our Tide Cleaners professionals will come directly to your home for a totally contactless experience. Your clean garments will be returned promptly the next scheduled delivery day, so skip the errand and enjoy life, not laundry. Visit TideCleaners.com or your local store to sign up for Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery today.
Grab some OtterBox gear and get ready for hanging with the boys. From rugged venture coolers to tough-as-nails elevation tumblers, we've got what you need to keep your game day drinks frosty and your football feast ice cold. And with cases, screen protectors, and power accessories, you can defend your phone and stay connected to every play. Gear up at OtterBox.com and amp up the fun of every Cowboys game. That's OtterBox.com.
Is your family a Cowboys family? Have you taken holiday photos at the Star? Was your wedding theme blue and silver? Have you convinced your kids them is spelled with a D? If so, every game day feels like a vacation to you, so treat it like one. Whether you're traveling to the game or watching from your favorite vacation spot, book a place to stay on Hotels.com. Proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the Players Lounge.
Hey, the Star District is the perfect place for the whole family to enjoy. Help support local Frisco businesses by visiting us to dine, shop, and explore the Dallas Cowboys themed campus. For more information on all the Star has to offer, visit thestardistrict.com. All right, you are checking out the Players Lounge. We do it every Friday at 11:30 Central Time right here on DallasCowboys.com. I'm Newy Scruggs, longtime Cowboys reporter, joined by Barry Church, longtime safety. Our other safety is Barry McCray. I should say Danny McCray. He's out, so it's just Barry and I running this thing. Hey, Chris, I got some feedback in my ear, so take that out for me right there, please. All right, let's get into restructured contracts here because now Dak Prescott is signed. All right, Church, here's the thing. The Cowboys decided to go to Tyron Smith, Lel Collins, and Zach Martin and say, hey, guys, we want to reduce your cap number this year. Or reduce our cap number this year. We're going to give you your money right now, which means, okay, instead of getting a check every 17 weeks, they're going to go ahead and decide to give it to you all at one time. I don't know about you, but I really would prefer that. If I'm the player,
whoa,
this is good for the player.
I'm surprised. See, I never really understood the restructure. Like, I didn't know how it worked but that's how it works. So when they restructure your deal, instead of getting paid, every week, every game, you just get that lump sum right at the beginning.
Right, because they're now tricking the books. So they're just tricking the books now to say, hey, look, hey, Church, we owe you $10 million this year, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to give it all to you sign-in bonus right now. So you know what? Here it is. We only paying you through the year, but that's fine. We're good. So it's a magic trick. But ultimately, they needed to create more room, okay? So the Dak deal's done, but they still need more room to sign draft picks and to play in free agency. So those are the three guys they decided to go to. Here's something that I noticed. It's who they didn't restructure. Amari Cooper.
Yes.
Amari Cooper, the wide receiver, has basically it's been 2 years of guaranteed money, all right? And so after these 2 seasons, and this is going to be the second season, they're free. So when you start to look at, okay, who are veterans with contracts that are going to be ending here, the Cowboys out on Amari Cooper is 2022. Because all the money would have been gotten the first 2 years of the deal. So their cap hit after, for 2022 would be $6 million to let him go, dead cap hit. Which this is just a thought, okay? I'm just pontificating. Let's say after this season, you want to say goodbye to Amari Cooper, who's making $20 million a year. You want to say goodbye. You'll do a $3 million cap hit in 2022 and a $3 million cap hit in 2023. You spread over 2 years. You take that, instead of paying him $20 million, you could give Michael Gallup 10, and then you take another $10 million and try and fix your football team. Because Gallup is up after this season.
I have no problem with that. If that's the route they want to go, and they say, you know what, Coop, it's been real, 2 years, you've been productive, but we're going to save a little bit of money and go elsewhere, I have no problem with that. Because if you look at Dak Prescott and you look at what he does when he passes the ball and he goes through these, godly numbers, he spreads the ball around. It's not like he's featured on one guy like a Michael Thomas when he had, 150 catches that one year. He's not focused on one guy. He spreads the ball around. So in saying that, I feel like you can take out Amari Cooper, who is a productive receiver and is a very good receiver, but you can take him out. You can plug in somebody who might not be the caliber of an Amari Cooper, but can still be productive. Maybe an Emmanuel Sanders. I'm not saying that's what they would go, but a player like that who's productive but not to the caliber of an Amari Cooper. You put a guy like that in there, I feel like you don't miss a beat, because what we know about Dak Prescott is he spreads it around. You got Blake Jarwin at the tight end, Dalton Schultz at the tight end. They've both proven to be, well, at least Dalton Schultz has proven to be a mismatch when it comes to linebackers covering them or safeties. So he can spread the ball there. You still got Michael Gallup, who's a deep ball threat, a 50-50 jump ball guy that you can get the ball to. And we forgot we got an emerging CeeDee Lamb, who had an amazing rookie season out the slot. So I feel like he can spread the ball to multiple people, and it's not like he's lasered and focusing in on Amari Cooper. And if you take him out of the game, what am I going to do with the rest of my, what am I going to do with the rest of this talent? I can't do anything without Amari Cooper. I feel like he spreads the ball enough to where if Amari Cooper were to leave after this year, it wouldn't be that big of a problem, and they could plug in somebody else for it. So I wouldn't have a problem with that if that was the case.
So this could be the final year for Amari Cooper. And it wouldn't be about his talent. This is really starting to look at, all right, the structure of your salary cap, trying to find cheaper ways. And you drafted CeeDee Lamb number 1. That's 5 years of control. You're going to have to, at some point in time, push this guy, elevate him up. And so to elevate him up, you may have to go ahead and remove Cooper out of it. You'd like to possibly keep Gallup and keep him at a lower price than Coop. So this is just the price of business. Okay, and this is what it comes to. All right, another contract you were asking about, guys. Jalen Smith. All right, so the out for the Cowboys would be after this season. I know there's some folks out there thirsting to get Jalen Smith going this year. It ain't happening. Jalen Smith is going to be with the Cowboys, okay? And Stephen Jones admitted that and said it again. So Jalen would be, his out is 2022, so it'll be next year, and it would be $6.8 million in dead cap hit. No one else is really good. I mean, Tyron Smith, you could do it at $12 million in a dead cap hit, but I don't see them wanting to take something that huge. Tank is too much. It would be after going into the 2022 season, would be $19 million. You don't want to do that dead cap hit money.
That's too much.
And then Zeke's is not until 2023, and that's when it would be $6.7 million. So Ezekiel Elliott's will be here for the next couple of years. So, so when when you asked about that of restructuring contracts, there you go. This last Sunday, the Dallas Morning News did a little synopsis on who's likely to depart. So these were the 5 guys Calvin Watkins of the Dallas Morning News said he thinks will go. Wanted to get your take on it. Number 1, Sean Lee. Number 2, Tyrone Crawford. Number 3, Chidobe Awuzie. Number 4, Andy Dalton. Number 5, Joe Thomas. This was my 5, all right? Sean Lee, Tyrone Crawford, Cheeto, Andy Dalton, and your boy Xavier Woods. I have to put him in that list. I mean, I can't give you 100%.
As a top 5 that are leaving?
As a top 5 that I'm not bringing back, that I'm letting go.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, I agree wholly with your picks as your top 5. I mean, I would even throw in maybe you said Cheeto in there, Xavier Woods, Yes. I mean, I agree with everything. What I don't agree about with Calvin Watkins is his Joe Thomas pick. To me, we need something back there. It's to back up Jalen and to back up LVE. And we've seen Joe Thomas. He had an up and down season last year as he was filling in for injured players, but he wasn't the reason the defense was that terrible. I mean, this is a guy that can run sideline to sideline. He knows the system, and he can play. He's a thumper. He can play in there. We need somebody to back up those 2 linebackers, LVE and Jalen Smith, because we know they have an injury history. So for me, I think you keep him in there. You can get him at a low deal. You can get him at a vet minimum, I'm sure. And he's just another guy that can go out there, run sideline to sideline. I mean, he has some coverability. So for me, he's a depth piece. I wouldn't get rid of him that fast. But the rest of those guys, I'm with you guys both 100%. Sean Lee, even though that's my guy, I played with him rookie year, he's come up of age. He's come of age, and it's time, as you see, if they can't get him on like maybe a vet minimum, super minimum deal to where he comes in here and just, if somebody goes out, he might have 11 or 10 snaps. Maybe, just maybe he could be that coach player type, in that linebacker room. So I get rid of him, but if he came back on a super vet minimum, I'm talking about the minimum of minimums, then I could see them keeping him. But the rest of the crew, they gotta go. I mean, Woods, he already made his comments about not going 100 all the time, and he picked the worst season to have one of his worst seasons. I mean, this is a contract year. You can't go out like that and expect to get paid and expect to come back. So he's got to go. And the same with Cheeto Awuzie. I mean, he had his ups and downs. I know he had an injured hamstring, but he just didn't show. In his 4 years that he's been here, to me, he hasn't shown the ability to grow into that number one corner. I feel like he had plenty of time, plenty of opportunities to go out there and show that he could be that guy in the secondary, and he just hasn't shown it. So maybe it'll benefit both parties to get the split. Cowboys, they get a new fresh corner, and Awuzie goes to a new spot, and maybe he's able to improve his game. But overall, I don't have any conflicts with those 5 players except for Sean Lee and Joe Thomas, just for added depth behind those injury-riddled linebackers that we have now.
Here's my thing on Sean Lee, who I absolutely, as a person and as a player, and here's a guy who wore the star, did it the right way. But he doesn't play. You can't have him on special teams. You can't count on him to play 16 games. Now, with Dak Prescott having this contract and you being tight against the cap, you cannot just have somebody on the football team who you can't count on to play 16 games who does not play special teams. You got to move on from that. You're better off going with a guy like a Luke Gifford, somebody who can help give you some plays and maybe you can grow. And maybe there's somebody else who's a veteran linebacker that Dan Quinn may want, who's possibly even ran his system, who understands it more. But I think you got to move on from Sean Lee when it comes to his ability to play for you. You just got to say thank you. One of the problems I have with the Cowboys is I think they move on from guys 2 years too long. You look at it, man, that guy should have been gone 2 years ago. And Sean Lee, Tyrone Crawford, these are guys, man, they should have been gone 2 years ago. I mean, Doug Free hung around 2 years too long. I mean, that's kind of the Cowboys, In New England, they get rid of you about a year too early. Especially you look at Tom Brady. Man, let Tom Brady go. Man, they should have re-upped on Tom. Let him go a year too early. Here, man, they let dudes go a year too late. Brett Maher, dude should have been gone 2 years ago. I mean, it's the kind of thing. Chris Jones, a punter. Should have been gone 2 years ago. I mean, it's just that kind of thing, man. That's how they operate, and we can't keep doing it. You got to move on, baby. Got to move on.
You got to move on. But let me ask you a question. What do you think about Joe Looney? Should we bring Joe Looney back as that kind of depth piece, that swing guard, center, kind of play those interior positions as a depth piece? Do you bring him back or do you let him walk? And then you bring, you have Biotis there who's probably going to be the starter as center next year. So do you leave Joe Looney back there to, be that kind of depth piece or do you let him walk? I think he's a great guy in the locker room as well.
This is a good question, because what does Joe Looney get out there on the free agent market? I mean, Joe Looney may get a deal somewhere else. Somebody says, hey, come start. So let's see, how he's viewed out here, because people are going to see that Joe Looney's played a lot in the last two years, and he has some serious versatility. If Joe Looney's gone, Connor McGovern is someone who has played center. So if you're the Cowboys, you got to really think about, considering, once again, where are you sitting at here with your cap? I mean, that's where so much of this stuff matters. I'll say this, and I was just chatting about it the other day with someone. With so many teams having offensive line issues, you look at the Rams who've got line issues. Kansas City just cut their 2 starting offensive tackles, Eric Fisher, Mitchell Schwartz. If you're the Cowboys, you might be able to move or trade a guy like a Connor Williams and then put a guy like Connor McGovern in there, and then you re-sign a Joe Looney. But it all, so much of this depends on to me, is just what do people do in terms of calling Joe Looney? Joe Looney's a serviceable guy. We saw Xavier Ciafilo, who couldn't start here full time for the Cowboys, get a starting contract, a multi-year contract to go play up in Cincinnati. True. So when you say a guy like Joe Looney, you're sitting here thinking, oh man, we go get Joe Looney back here at bargain basement prices. I don't know. We'll see, because
this is true.
O-line's a problem out there, man. I mean, it's a serious problem. And then you've got your own salary cap issue, so let's see where it goes and what they do. They got to do a whole lot of juggling on this football team and make smart decisions. Jimmy Johnson spoke about it. You got to draft guys. So let's see what they do come draft time and where they go.
This is going to be a huge year.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. Hey, no, go ahead. You're good.
Daryl Moose Johnson said it's Super Bowl or bust for the Cowboys now with this Dak contract. Do you agree with that?
No. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's a Super Bowl or bust year for Dak Prescott. Now, if we're talking about the whole totality of his contract, and if he doesn't get to there by the end of his contract, then I would say, man, that was kind of a letdown. But to say this year, just because he's getting paid this specific year, that he should be in the Super Bowl, I don't agree with that. Because what has changed? Yes, he's getting more money, but we still haven't addressed the defense. I mean, we got a draft coming, we got a free agency class coming, so we'll see what they have there on the defensive side of the ball. But I'm not just going to put, just because Dak Prescott is getting paid $40 million a year now, he automatically has to win the Super Bowl on his own. He's got to lead this. Like, look, he's a leader. I'm sure he'll be able to become a better player as the years go on, as he's seen from his rookie year. He's a lot different and a lot better of a player than he was in his rookie year. So I just see him progressing throughout this contract, and I want him to win, and I want him to win a Super Bowl, but I'm not going to put all the pressure squarely on Dak Prescott just because he has he's in a new tax bracket now. He definitely still needs help, especially on the defensive side of the ball, to lead this team to the promised land. I think he's still, like you said, we still might need some pieces along the offensive line, especially if Tyron's not being able to make it throughout the season or if something like that happens. So I'm not going to put it all squarely on Dak Prescott's shoulders just because he has $40 million. But if throughout this whole totality of this contract, if we don't see any improvements or we don't make the playoffs or something like that happens, then I would say this contract was a total disappointment. But to put the Super Bowl squarely on his shoulders for next year just because he's raised up his price tag, I don't think it's fair. And I think we should give him at least a couple years to try to make that happen.
I just find it interesting because Moose is a guy who played on the last Cowboys Super Bowl team. So here it is 25 years later. You're going to put it all on one guy. It's hard to get back. I was there in Arizona when Russell Wilson threw that interception to lose the Super Bowl. And so many people at that time and even at that moment were saying, it's okay. Seattle's going to be back. They never got back. Back. It is hard to get there. Tom Brady's made getting the Super Bowls look really easy, but it is not easy at all. And you cannot go to the Super Bowl with the defense they have. They don't have a Super Bowl defense. I mean, you still have to play some balance of football in order to get there. And if you don't have that balance, it's going to be a problem. So I think to me, it's always interesting on who we choose to say, you must do this or it's a bust, and how we allowed who we allowed to go scot-free. Let's go back a couple years ago. Minnesota gets rid of Case Keenum. And they say, you know what, he's okay, but we need a guy who can get us over the top and get us to a Super Bowl. They signed Kirk Cousins to a record-breaking contract in terms of guarantees. They haven't done anything. They haven't gotten as far as Case Keenum got him.
And then they re-signed him to another. I think he got another $66 million or something crazy like that. And he hasn't even sniffed a Super Bowl. I mean, he made it to the divisional round, and he hasn't even sniffed the Super Bowl after that. Yet you don't hear anything in the light of, Kirk Cousins has to take this team to the Super Bowl. All you hear about is Kirk Cousins says, he played that franchise tag right. And he's one of the smartest guys out. He played it right. So I say you're right about that. Like, all of a sudden now that Dak's got this deal, he's got to be the savior. He's got to be the Super Bowl champion. He's got to be Tom Brady. When we don't put that pressure on any other quarterback out there. So, it's a tough slice. It's a tough slice for him.
Right, and I get this is what being the Dallas Cowboys quarterback is. But to hear a former player, Moose Johnson, put it on him like that, I kind of shook my head. Hey, let's take a break. When we come back, let's dive into the defense. Barry, you've been talking about it. Well, there were some interesting things said about Dan Quinn and this Cowboys defense for 2021. We'll do that next, right here on the Players Lounge, brought to you by Hotels.com on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Hey there, Cowboys fans. With Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery, Cleaning your clothes has never been more convenient. Simply sign up at your local store, set out your dirty clothes, and one of our Tide Cleaners professionals will come directly to your home for a totally contactless experience. Your clean garments will be returned promptly the next scheduled delivery day, so skip the errand and enjoy life, not laundry. Visit TideCleaners.com or your local store to sign up for Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery today.
Grab some OtterBox gear and get ready for hanging with the boys. From rugged venture coolers to tough as nails elevation tumblers, we've got what you need to keep your game day drinks frosty and your football feast ice cold. And with cases, screen protectors, and power accessories, you can defend your phone and stay connected to every play. Gear up at OtterBox.com and amp up the fun of every Cowboys game. That's OtterBox.com.
How great would it be to travel to watch the Cowboys win on another team's turf? Pretty great. But honestly, just watching the game from anywhere but your house would be fun. Even a hotel bar with some guy named Phil from St. Louis who thinks Oakland still has a team. So whether you're traveling to the game or watching from your favorite vacation spot, book a place to stay on Hotels.com, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Adjust your cleats, adjust your pads, even adjust your helmet, but seriously, don't adjust your underwear because once it's seen, it cannot be unseen. Tommy John's fabric keeps you cool and dry on the field or in the stands, and now they even have loungewear. Yeah, loungewear. Shop underwear at TommyJohn.com/Cowboys for 15% off your first order. That's TommyJohn.com/Cowboys.
Back to the Players Lounge.
Hey, get the ultimate fan experience for the ultimate Cowboys fan. Join Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life, starting at just $20. Join now and get your exclusive fan pack and member benefits. Visit DallasCowboys.com/United for details. This is Players Lounge brought to you by Hotels.com. I'm Newy Scruggs, longtime Cowboys reporter, joined by Barry Church, former Dallas Cowboys safety. Our other safety, Danny McCray, with the day off. Danny also works for the organization, and they had meetings today. And, you know, you got to go ahead and take care of that first job first.
Oh, yeah.
So, I want to get into Dan Quinn because I was the first person to ask that question in terms of, hey, you got Dak signed. You all said that there wasn't going to be enough pie to go build this football team. So how do you go about fixing this raggedy defense? And I'm going to just read out a little bit of what I heard from these guys about the defense and Dan Quinn. Stephen Jones said, quote, based on how we negotiated this contract with Dak and Todd France, it gives us the opportunity to do some things to continue to improve on the defensive side of the ball, which, as we saw last year, it's real hard to outscore him in this game. We've got to be better on the defensive side of the ball. And then Stephen also spoke about the defense and his belief of the players they have. So he named off Leighton Vander Esch, Tank Lawrence, Tristan Hill, and he goes on to say, there's a lot to work with there. And I think he's going to get it out of him, he meaning Dan Quinn. I think he's going to put a system in where they play hard and fast and confident in what they're doing. And if we go out and do our work in the offseason in terms of improving it, I think we're going to check that box. Obviously, we have a lot of confidence in the offensive side of the ball, the special teams, and as Dak said, the most important thing of all is the culture. When those guys walk out there, they're going to believe they're going to win the game. And I think that's going to happen. That's Steven talking about his belief in what Gus Bradley can do. And then Dak had also talked about the culture, that the Cowboys needed to be better about their culture. What's your take on that, Church?
One, I think it's funny that none of them rebutted you when you said this horrendous defense. I just think they all agreed with you, which I thought was hilarious. But overall, I don't understand what they think Dan Quinn is going to come and do to this defense. Now, if we get some great pieces with the free cap room that we have and we draft excellent, then that's one thing. But just Dan Quinn on his own coming in here and trying to model this defense into what he thinks is successful, he's not going out there and he doesn't have the cleats on. He doesn't put the helmet on. Like, I don't understand how this coach is going to transform that terrible 2018 or 2020 defense into something respectable without hitting great on the draft and bringing in some quality free agents. I mean, look, this is the same guy now. This is the same guy that was here this past year and was up 20 points and still let Dak Prescott come back and win. Now, I understand he's a head coach and he has other things to deal with besides the defense. But when you're getting shellacked like that, you think you're a defensive-minded head coach? Let me go ahead and let me fix something out. And he was not able to do that. And that wasn't the first instance that happened in the 2020 season. That wasn't the last instance that happened in the 2020 season. We've seen him give up a 17-point lead. I believe he had a 14-point lead. I think it was against the Browns or somebody like that in the NFL. And he was able to give up the lead once again. And let alone do I mention the Super Bowl where he gave up, a 28-3 lead? Now, like I said earlier, I understand he was a head coach and he had to do offense and all that other stuff. But if you're getting shellacked and you see this team is rolling your defense like that, as a defensive-minded coach, and the guy that's where you made your bones at, he was a defensive-minded coach, you think he would be able to fix that or ratify that, and he just wasn't able to. And we've seen this guy's defenses when he was in Atlanta, his secondary defense was some of the worst in the National Football League. So for me, this can and it has the possibilities of having another Mike Nolan type situation where he came in here with defenses ranked 23rd, 24th, and I think 28th the last 3 times he was the DC. And we brought him in here thinking, oh, he's going to change his ways immediately and we're going to have a top defense, which we didn't have. So with Dan Quinn coming over here, I hope this isn't the case. But I could see something similar like that happen where he didn't have success on these defenses in the past, the recent past, but we're bringing him in here to try to fix everything that we have going on. Right. I don't think he can do it by himself. I just think he needs a free agency class we got to hit. We got to hit on the defensive free agency class, and we've got to hit defensively in this draft. If we're able to do that, I think he might have a chance at having some sort of success, maybe a middle of the rank type defense. But overall, I don't see this, this guy bringing in this 85 defense or this 85 Bears defense or this Legion of Boom type defense or this 2000 Ravens defense, just him being in the building. So we'll see. He's getting a lot of praise right now, but I got to see it on the field first.
All right. I go back to what Steven said. Steven said there's a lot to work with there. And he says, and I think he's going to get it out of him. So he sold on Quinn that way. Now, here's Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones saying about Quinn, he was absolutely perfect for us. This situation to come in here, he will be very influential in how we put together personnel and defense. I think he's got that kind of credibility. So that's what Jerry Jones had to say about him. And then Dak Prescott said, Coach Quinn, I've met him throughout the building. He's just a guy that jumps off with you with his demeanor and everything that he carries. And he said, I'm excited to see his leadership and what he does to his defense. He said he also was excited because former teammates like a Keith Smith said, hey, man, you're going to love this guy. So Dak likes his energy and what he's seen from Quinn so far. You and I are on the same page. Hey, man, I take a step back. Because what you were doing in Atlanta, I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, we go back to that Falcons game. How did they lose the game that they were up killing the Cowboys on? These guys didn't even understand that you needed to jump on the ball on the outside kick.
Exactly.
He's like, what are you coaching, man? What are you doing? And he was the coordinator in terms of calling the plays for that Super Bowl team. All right, he was in charge. He ended up during the year taking over the defense, called it. So he called the Super Bowl, man, and lost it. And those last couple of years, those defenses were bad. And when they got to be good, he fired himself, put Raheem Morris there. So I'm going to take a step back before I go put anointing oil on Dan Quinn as defensive coordinator for the Cowboys.
I will say this. About Dan Quinn. And if he's able to do this, he might have some success. But then again, it comes back to the carpenter needs his tools. But if he's able to come down here and simplify defense, not have LVE thinking, not have Jalen Smith thinking, and just reacting out there, doing what they do best, run sideline to sideline, and just reacting out there. If we can go out there and have a defense like that where it's very simple, not a lot of checks, not a lot of check with knees over there with the coach and none of that, I think he might be able to get a little bit more production out of this defense. But it comes back to the argument, does the carpenter needs his tools? Because when he was out there in Seattle and he had this super simple defense, he had KJ Wright, he had Bobby Wagner, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Sherman, those boys. So does he need the tools, or can he bring that simple style defense and just get the most out of this team? We'll yet to see. Hopefully he's able to get the most out of them. But like you said, I got to take a step back and just view it, and I got to see it on the field first.
I go back to Rod Marinelli. When was Rod Marinelli at his best? When did people love everything Rod Marinelli did with his quote-unquote simple scheme? Well, he had great players. Mm-hmm. You could run simple scheme with great players. And so in Tampa, when Rod was at his best, he had Booker McFarland, Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks. You had Simeon Rice, John Lynch, had Rondé Barber. You had Dexter Jackson. That's how you look good. You need great players. And that's where the Cowboys really have to address this in the draft. And I'm going to write a column for the Dallas Morning News because I think the Cowboys are in a position where they may need to bounce out of that top 10 spot. So we'll dive into that next week. But the thing about Dan Quinn is right now they're loving what he's bringing. And Steven basically backed up something he said on the Cowboys flagship radio station, 105.3 The Fan, that he believes they have talent. One of the things they've got to do out of the gate is flip-flop the linebackers. All right? Get Jalen Smith back into the middle and put Van Der Esch back at the linebacker spots. Put these guys at least in a position where they made the Pro Bowl at. Last year was just dumb, in my opinion. I just thought that was dumb to take a guy in Van Der Esch who had a neck injury and just say, hey, man, go jam up here and get in the middle. They got to fix that interior defensive line. We've talked about that. All three levels of this defense, they've got issues. So the Carpenter definitely needs some tools. But you heard Jerry say he's going to be influential, which to me, here's the good thing. They're going to give the guy the tools he needs. What do you need? At least they're going to do that versus other way around. Hey, man, you got to take this guy. You got to do this. So if they're going to work with Dan Quinn and give him what he wants on defense, that to me is a positive.
And I'm not sure that this is gonna happen, but this could be key with especially developing a new defensive system and philosophy. If we're able to have a full offseason or even some semblance of an offseason better than what we did last year, I think this defense will be able to pick it up a little bit because we didn't have OTAs, now these are excuses, but we didn't have OTAs, didn't have mini camp, training camp, abbreviated, not even a preseason. So if we're able to have maybe a couple of those during this offseason, I think it could prove dividends for this defense. But like we both think, man, Dan Quinn is going to have his work cut out for him in improving this defense.
And I know McCray wasn't here today because he's out working for the Cowboys, but I really, really wanted to rub it in his face, the fact that they restructured La'el Collins and Tyron Smith, which means these guys aren't going anywhere. You're not cutting either one of these guys. The Cowboys are telling you they're betting on these guys coming back. And if that's the case, anybody who's thinking about Rashawn Slater, the tackle at 10, I don't know if that's going to happen based on the actions of the football team and based on what they spoke about with Dan Quinn. Now, Steven also said, when talking about the defense, that the draft was the place to really go and do it. He said, but you've got to be open. He said, like you had a CeeDee Lamb last year. So I think there are two offensive players that they would consider at 10. Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle from Oregon, who's not going to fall to 10. He's not falling to 10. And then
don't say it. I know what you're about to say.
I keep believe me, I hate hearing it, but I keep hearing people talk about Kyle Pitts.
No.
Yes. So
I hope we don't do this. I hear it too, dude. I hear it. I hope we don't do it because, we just paid Blake Jarwin $24 million. Dalton Schultz had a somewhat of a breakout campaign last year. I know Kyle Pitts is dynamic, and he would come in here and probably be the biggest mismatch nightmare at tight end in the league. But we already had so many offensive weapons. That's just another one to feed. We have so many other needs defensively. I hear it a lot, Newy. I see it a lot, and I just hope it's not the case, man. I hope we don't go after Kyle Pitts.
You and I are in that same boat of our thought that, man, if you really want to improve this football team, improve this sorry defense, but there are people out there who believe he's a really special talent. And here, okay, I'll just go play along with that thought, okay? Just play along. You tell me your thoughts. Fine. Mm-hmm. You say Kyle Pitts, the highest guy that we have. We have Kyle Pitts rated number 6 on our board. He's there at 10. We're going to take him. And you tell me, don't look at just this year. Look down the road. That down the road in 2 years, we get rid of Cooper. He's not on our team next year. It's CeeDee Lamb. It's Pitts. These are our two guys that we're targeting, and maybe you're able to get a contract done with Michael Gallup. That these are our three targets. As you start to look forward, okay, then that's something I could simply say, all right, but I don't know if I have this much faith that they're thinking that way. But I'm just telling you, this is a thought process, and don't think they won't have it, because they got a bunch of comp picks here, man. They got a comp pick now in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th round. So this gives them more ammunition. You can trade comp picks. So
you can.
I'm just saying, I could. They look, man. You and I don't want this, but we know the head coach likes offense. The offensive coordinator,
he likes to sell tickets.
Right, they like this stuff.
Man.
So they'll be the Oklahoma Cowboys. Man. They're gonna be the Oklahoma Sooners.
Exactly.
They're gonna be like the Oklahoma Sooners, man. Scoring points, ain't stopping nobody, watching somebody else win. But if that's what they're into, man, what are you gonna do?
And I like your argument about looking into the future. And Kyle Pitts and CeeDee Lamb will be our targets. I could see that if Jerry Jones wasn't at where he is right now. Like, this is a guy that hasn't won in 25 years, and he wants to win right now. Like, he's making the case that he wants to win right now. He's already said, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this, so he wants to win right now. And I just don't think Kyle Pitts, even though he could be a mismatch nightmare, I just think we have too many needs on the defensive side of the ball to where we don't have the luxury of being able to just pick best available on the board, which might be a Kyle Pitts. I hope we adjust this defense. You and I both hope, but man, we've seen this happen before, Newy. We've seen it happen before.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, you cannot keep ignoring, and that's been the problem. You keep ignoring these needs on defense. The Cowboys have resisted a safety for years and haven't valued the safety play. It's hurt them. Yeah. The gamble they made in terms of taking Cheeto and Jordan Lewis and hoping one of the two became a difference maker that would allow them to let Byron Jones walk, that blew up in their face. So now you think about it. You're going to be sitting here not having Jones, Awuzie, and most likely Lewis on a football team. In 2 years, you're going to lose 3 corners who are very much a part of what you did. And right now, you've only really replaced one of them that you're saying, okay, this is a building block. So they've got to fix this. They've got to fix the safety spot because they don't have the kind of safety that Dan Quinn wants to win with. You have to be very honest with yourself that you do not have a coverage linebacker right now who can pick up guys coming out of the backfield and cover these tight ends the way they're chasing them. You're looking at Dallas Goedert in Philadelphia. Who's covering Dallas Goedert right now?
Nobody. Not on our team.
If you want to tell me Leighton Vander Esch, I'll come back and say, can I count on him for 16 games? So that's an area that they've got to work on. And then in terms of stopping the run, right now. They're not able to. I don't feel good about them stopping the run. And when you say Tristan Hill and Nevin Gallimore, like Stephen Jones tried to bring up, I'll say to you, okay, I don't know the health right now of Tristan Hill. Nevin Gallimore is a good player, but you need more than one guy. They need to address that more. Yeah, you do. You need another defensive end because I'm not paying Aldon Smith to come back. I don't think Aldon Smith.
Heck no. And I know we're running short on time, but I don't know what this whole thing is with Aldon Smith. Like, yes, he had a great story. Came back after 5 years, had a great beginning of the season. I think he had like 4 or 5 sacks in the first 3 games. But man, he fell off a cliff. Like we were asking ourselves the last couple of weeks, did Aldon Smith even dress? Was he
Did
on
he play?
The field?
Yeah, did he play?
Did he play? And it's just like, and you guys are like, and I see this as much as I see the Kyle Pitts thing. People are like, man, we got enough now to re-sign Aldon Smith. When did he become a priority? It's confusing me, man. So we'll see though.
Hey, look, that's one of those where you hope Dan Quinn says that ain't my kind of guy. That's the hope.
That ain't exactly.
That's about the only way that we get saved, that you and I get saved on Aldon Smith not being here. Is Dan Quinn's like, I'm gonna move on from him. So. These are so many great questions and so many things that we're going to be able to debate between now as we get to the NFL draft, NFL free agency coming up. Let's see exactly what the Cowboys do. Hey, Church, man, I told you this would fly by. I told you it was hours fly by today, man. Because we have so much to talk about, so much meat on the bones. We even had stuff left there. We didn't talk about Cam signing the 1-year deal with New England or Tom Brady getting a contract.
Tom Brady
up there in Tampa. Right. So the NFL is a whole lot of stuff moving here, man, but fun stuff, man. To Chris Beam, our excellent producer, who always makes sure everything goes right. We appreciate you, Chris. Church, I'll talk to you next Friday. For everybody else, man, we appreciate you checking out the Players Lounge next Friday, 11:30 Central. Also, you can check out the replay on social media as well. All right, take care. I'm Newy Scruggs. Be well.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!